Imagine your power goes out tonight. No warning, no text alert, just darkness. Your phone is at 11%. Your fridge starts warming up. And somewhere in your city, thousands of people are doing the exact same thing you're about to do. Panic searching how to charge my phone without power at 2 in the morning. But here's the thing. While everyone else is stuck in the dark, one guy is sitting in his backyard, phone fully charged, lights on, coffee maker running, and he spent less than $250 to make that happen. No generator roaring outside, no gas fumes, no noise, just a quiet little box he built himself, sitting there, doing its job like it's nothing. That's not a fantasy. That's a real setup people are building right now, in their garages, on their patios, in their basements. And today, we're going to break down exactly how this $250 DIY solar generator works, why it's suddenly everywhere online, and why so many people are calling it the smartest small investment they've made all year. Before we go further, if you're someone who likes learning how everyday people are quietly solving big problems with simple tools, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel breaks down real-world money moves, smart backup plans, and practical ideas that actually make sense for regular people, not just tech experts or preppers. It takes 2 seconds, and it means you won't miss what's coming later in this video, because, trust me, the middle part changes how you think about backup power completely. Now, let's talk about why this topic even matters right now. Power outages aren't rare anymore. Storms are getting stronger. Heat waves are pushing power grids past their limits. Winter storms are knocking out electricity for days in places that never used to worry about it. And when the power goes out, most people realize how fragile their daily life actually is. Your phone dies, your router dies, your ability to work, to call someone, to check on family, all of it depends on electricity you don't control. For years, the answer to this problem was a gas generator. Loud, heavy, expensive to run, and honestly, kind of a hassle. You need fuel, you need storage space, you need to run it outside because of the fumes. And if you live in an apartment or a small house, a gas generator is basically not even an option. So people started looking for something smaller, something quieter, something they could build themselves without needing an engineering degree or a $5,000 budget. That search led a lot of people to a very simple idea. What if you could build your own solar-powered battery box, small enough to fit under a desk, powerful enough to charge your phone, your laptop, your router, even small appliances, and cheap enough that almost anyone could afford it? That idea is exactly what's behind this $250 DIY solar generator trend that's been spreading across YouTube, Reddit, and small maker communities. And what makes it interesting isn't just the price. It's how simple the whole thing actually is once you break it down. At its core, a DIY solar generator is really just 3 things working together: a battery to store power, a small control unit called a solar charge controller that manages how power flows in and out safely, and a solar panel that pulls energy from sunlight and feeds it into the battery. That's it. No moving parts, no engine, no oil changes, just electronics doing quiet, simple work. People who build these systems usually start with a sealed battery, something safe and stable, paired with an inverter that converts the battery's stored energy into the kind of power your regular wall outlets use. Then they wire in USB ports, a car-style outlet, and sometimes a small screen that shows battery level. Once it's assembled into a case, it looks and works a lot like the expensive solar generators you see being sold online for $600, $800, sometimes over $1,000. Except this one, built by hand, piece by piece, ends up costing a small fraction of that. Now here's where it gets interesting, and where a lot of people get surprised. The reason these DIY builds can be so cheap isn't because they're cutting corners on safety. It's because they're cutting out the branding, the packaging, the marketing, and the retail markup that big solar generator companies charge for. When you buy a name brand solar generator, you're not just paying for the battery and the panel. You're paying for the box it came in, the advertising that convinced you to buy it, the warranty department, the shipping, and the profit margin stacked on top of all of that. When someone builds their own version using the same core components, bought directly and assembled by hand, they skip almost all of that extra cost. They're left with just the parts that actually matter. And that's the whole secret behind the $250 price tag. It's not a trick. It's not a shortcut. It's just cutting out the middleman. But price is only half the story here. The other half is what this little device can actually do once it's built. People who've put these together talk about charging their phones for days without touching a wall outlet, running small fans during a summer power cut, keeping a laptop alive through a full workday, powering a Wi-Fi router so the internet doesn't go down even if the electricity does. Some people even use it to keep medical devices running during outages, which for certain families isn't a convenience, it's genuinely important. And because the whole system runs on sunlight, once it's built, the ongoing cost is basically nothing. No gas to buy, no fuel lines to maintain. Just set the panel in the sun, let it charge, and use it whenever you need it. What's really driving the buzz around this isn't just the function, though. It's the feeling of control it gives people. There's something deeply satisfying about knowing that even if the grid goes down, even if your neighborhood is dark for 2 days, you built something with your own hands that keeps your essentials running. It's not about being a survivalist. It's about being prepared in a calm, practical way, without spending a fortune or filling your garage with equipment you'll never fully understand. And that's exactly why this idea has been spreading so fast. It's not marketed as some extreme prepper gear. It's marketed as something a regular person, with basic tools and a free afternoon, can actually build. So how does someone actually put this together for $250? What parts do they need? Where do people usually mess up when building their first one? And is this something that actually holds up when you need it most? Or is it just another online trend that looks better in a video than it works in real life? That's exactly what we're going to break down next, piece by piece, cost by cost, so you can see whether this is something worth trying yourself or something better left to the people who already built one. Let's start with the actual parts list, because this is where most people's curiosity really kicks in. When someone says they built a solar generator for $250, the first question everyone asks is, what exactly did you buy? The answer is simpler than most people expect. The core of the build usually starts with a deep cycle battery or a lithium iron phosphate battery, depending on budget, and how long someone wants the system to last. This battery is the heart of the whole setup. It's what stores the energy so you can use it later, at night, during a storm, whenever the sun isn't shining. Around that battery, builders add a charge controller. This little device is small, often not much bigger than a deck of cards, but its job is critical. It regulates how much power flows from the solar panel into the battery, protecting it from overcharging, which can damage the battery or even become a safety risk if left unmanaged. Then there's the inverter, which takes the direct current stored in the battery and converts it into the alternating current that most household devices actually use. Without this piece, you could charge the battery just fine, but you wouldn't be able to plug in a lamp, a fan, or anything that needs a standard wall-style outlet. The final major piece is the solar panel itself. Most people building this on a budget go with a portable folding panel, somewhere in the range of 50 to 100 watts. It's not going to power your entire house, and nobody building this thinks it will, but it's more than enough to keep a battery topped up throughout the day, especially if you're mainly using it to charge phones, tablets, laptops, small lights, or a Wi-Fi router. Once you add in the wiring, connectors, a project box or case to hold everything together, and a few safety fuses, you land right around that $250 mark that's been getting so much attention. It's not exact for everyone. Some people find deals and get it slightly cheaper. Others add a few extra features and spend a bit more. But the range holds up surprisingly well across different builds, which is part of why so many people trust this number instead of dismissing it as clickbait. Now here's something important that a lot of people don't expect when they first hear about this. Building one of these isn't really a technical challenge. It's more of a patience challenge. Most of the actual work is just connecting a few wires in the right order, following a simple diagram, and double-checking polarity so you don't connect anything backwards. There's no soldering required for most beginner builds. There's no complicated programming. You're basically snapping together a system the same way you'd assemble furniture from a box, except instead of a bookshelf, you end up with a working power source. That accessibility is a huge part of why this trend has spread so widely. It's not just engineers and electricians building these. It's teachers, parents, retirees, students, people who've never touched a soldering iron in their life, following a simple guide and ending up with something that actually works. Of course, not every attempt goes perfectly the first time, and that's worth talking about honestly. The most common mistake people make is underestimating how much sunlight their specific location actually gets. Someone living in a cloudy region might expect the same charging speed as someone living somewhere sunny and dry, and when it doesn't match up, they assume the build failed. In reality, the system is working exactly as it should. It's just working with less raw material, meaning less sunlight, so it charges more slowly. The fix isn't complicated. It usually just means adjusting expectations, positioning the panel more precisely throughout the day, or occasionally topping off the battery from a wall outlet when sunlight is limited. Another common mistake is skipping the fuse or safety switch to save a few dollars. This might save you $2 or $3 up front, but it removes an important layer of protection, and most experienced builders will tell you it's not worth the risk. The parts are cheap for a reason. Cutting corners on the 2 or 3 components that exist purely for safety is the one shortcut nobody recommends. What's fascinating is watching how people actually use these once they're built, because the use cases go far beyond what you'd expect from something this small and this affordable. Some people keep it purely as an emergency backup, stored in a closet, only pulled out when the power goes out. Others use it daily, treating it like a mini off-grid charging station for their phone and laptop, saving a little bit on their electricity bill every single day without even thinking about it. Campers and outdoor enthusiasts have picked up on this trend too, using these DIY builds instead of buying expensive pre-built units, because a homemade $250 setup can do almost everything a name brand $600 unit does, just without the sleek shell and the brand logo on the front. Even small business owners have started experimenting with these, using them to keep essential equipment running during short outages, like point-of-sale systems or small refrigeration units, especially in areas where power reliability isn't guaranteed. There's also a quieter, more personal reason this trend keeps growing, and it has less to do with money and more to do with peace of mind. A lot of people who build these systems talk about a specific moment, the moment the power goes out in their neighborhood, and instead of panicking, they just walk over to their little homemade box, plug in their phone, and keep going about their evening like nothing happened. Neighbors without power are lighting candles and checking their phones nervously, watching the battery percentage drop. Meanwhile, this person is sitting comfortably, phone charging, maybe even running a small fan, completely unaffected by the chaos outside. That feeling of not being caught off guard, of having quietly solved a problem before it even became urgent, is something that's hard to put a price on. And yet, ironically, the price to get there was smaller than most people's monthly grocery bill. This is also where the economics really start to make sense, especially if you zoom out and think long term. $250 sounds like a real expense up front, and it is. Nobody's pretending it's free. But compare that to the cost of a single hotel stay during a multi-day outage, or spoiled groceries after a fridge sits warm for 2 days, or the stress of scrambling to find a working outlet at a coffee shop just to keep your phone alive during an emergency. When you place the cost of this DIY system next to those real common scenarios, $250 starts to look less like a splurge and more like a one-time investment that quietly protects you from a dozen small disasters down the road. And because the components used in these builds tend to last for years, especially the battery and the solar panel, the cost per year of ownership ends up being surprisingly small once you spread it out over time. So now the real question becomes this: is this something worth doing yourself, or is it one of those projects that sounds simple but turns into a headache the moment you actually try it? And more importantly, once it's built, does it actually hold up the way people claim, especially during a real emergency, not just a weekend test in the backyard? That's exactly what we're going to get into next, along with the honest downsides nobody talks about enough, and what this whole trend really says about how people are starting to think differently about energy, money, and being prepared. Let's talk honestly about the downsides, because no real breakdown is complete without them, and frankly, the people who built these systems themselves are usually the first ones to admit where the limits are. The biggest one is capacity. A $250 DIY solar generator is not going to run your air conditioner. It's not going to power your entire kitchen during a blackout. It's not a replacement for a whole home backup system, and anyone who tells you otherwise is exaggerating to get views. What it is good at is keeping the small, essential things alive. Phones, laptops, routers, small fans, lights, maybe a mini fridge for short periods if the battery capacity is large enough. That's the honest scope of what this system does. And once people understand that going in, they're almost never disappointed. The disappointment only happens when someone expects a $250 homemade box to perform like a $5,000 whole house generator, and that was never the promise to begin with. The second honest downside is time. Charging the system fully from sunlight alone can take a full day, sometimes longer, depending on your location, the season, and how much direct sun your panel actually gets. This isn't an instant fix. It's not something you build the morning a storm hits and expect to be fully charged by dinner. The smart approach, and the one most experienced builders recommend, is to build it in advance and keep it charged and ready before you ever need it. The same way you'd keep a flashlight with fresh batteries sitting in a drawer, not something you scramble to find once the lights already went out. Treated that way, as a piece of quiet, ready-to-go preparation rather than an emergency day project, it works exactly the way people hope it will. There's also a learning curve, even if it's a small one. The first build usually takes longer than expected. Not because it's technically difficult, but because people naturally go slow when they're wiring something for the first time. Double-checking every connection, watching a few extra tutorials, making sure they understand what each part actually does before they trust it. That's not a bad thing. That caution is exactly what keeps the system safe. But it does mean the first attempt is rarely a fast 1-hour project. It's more realistic to expect an afternoon, especially if you want to fully understand your system instead of just copying steps without knowing why. Despite all of that, here's the part that keeps pulling people back to this idea and keeps this trend growing instead of fading out. Once it's built, it just works. Quietly, reliably, without asking for attention, without needing fuel, without making noise. You set the panel out, the sun does its job, the battery fills up, and it sits there, ready whenever you need it. There's no monthly subscription, no recurring cost, no engine to maintain. Just a simple, self-contained system that keeps doing its job year after year, as long as you take basic care of the battery. And in a world where so many of our tools depend on subscriptions, updates, apps, and constant connectivity, there's something almost refreshing about a device that just sits there and works, powered by nothing but sunlight and simple engineering. What this whole trend really reveals, if you zoom out far enough, is a shift in how people are thinking about both money and self-reliance. For a long time, being prepared for something like a power outage meant spending a lot of money on big, complicated equipment, usually built for people who already knew what they were doing. That created a gap. Regular people, families, students, retirees on a fixed income, and were often left out, either because the cost was too high or the setup felt too intimidating. This $250 DIY solar generator trend is closing that gap in a very real way. It's taking something that used to feel exclusive and expensive and turning it into something almost anyone can build in an afternoon, with parts anyone can order, using a process anyone can follow. That shift matters more than it might seem at first glance, because it's not just about solar power. It's about people realizing they don't have to wait for a perfect, expensive solution to start solving their own problems. Sometimes the $250 version, built with your own hands, understood piece by piece, ends up being more valuable than the $800 version sitting in a box you don't fully understand. There's also a bigger economic pattern hiding inside this trend, one that goes beyond solar generators entirely. More and more, people are choosing to understand how things work instead of just paying extra to have someone else handle it for them. It's the same instinct behind people learning to fix their own cars for basic repairs, or growing a small portion of their own food, or learning basic home repairs instead of calling someone for every small issue. It's not about avoiding spending money entirely. It's about spending money on the right things, the core parts that actually matter, and putting in a little time and effort instead of paying a premium for convenience and branding. That mindset, once you start applying it, tends to spread into other areas of life too. Once someone realizes they can build their own reliable power source for $250, they start asking what else they've been overpaying for, simply because it seemed easier not to ask questions. At the end of the day, this isn't really a story about solar panels or batteries or wiring diagrams. It's a story about control, about the quiet confidence of knowing that when the power goes out, when the storm hits, when the grid fails for a day or two, you're not standing there helpless, waiting for someone else to fix it. You built something. You understand how it works. And it's sitting there right now, charged, ready, waiting for the moment you actually need it. That kind of preparation doesn't need to be loud or extreme. It doesn't need thousands of dollars or a garage full of equipment. Sometimes it just needs $250, a free afternoon, and the willingness to learn something new. So here's what I want to ask you directly. If you had to survive the next power outage in your area right now, tonight, would you be ready, or would you be scrambling like everyone else, watching your phone battery drop while you wait for the lights to come back on? Drop a comment and tell me honestly, would you actually build something like this yourself? Or would you rather buy the ready-made version, even if it costs 3 times as much? I genuinely want to know, because the comments on this channel shape what we break down next. And if this video actually gave you something useful, something worth thinking about, do me a favor and share it with one person you know who's still relying on candles and hope every time the power goes out. It might just be the video that gets them thinking differently. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to keep breaking down simple, practical ideas just like this one, the kind that actually make a real difference without draining your bank account. I'll see you in the next one.